Last play. O'Donnell heaves it as far as he can. And the Cowboys come down with the interception. And it is Brock Marion. Final score. Dallas 27. Pittsburgh 17. By the way, Larry Brown will receive the Pete Rozelle Trophy after the late commissioner has watched the game in Southern California. Said his favorite Super Bowl was the 35-31 Pittsburgh win over Dallas, Super Bowl 13 in terms of the excitement. And this one, it appeared for a while with about 5 minutes left in the game that we might be headed toward a possible overtime until Larry Brown made the second of his interceptions.
You know, it's one of those things. We sat here for 2 weeks and you kept listening to the things where the Pittsburgh Steelers really didn't have a chance to play in the game. And it just shows. You said something in the beginning about the 2 weeks, you know, that you have to prepare, and it benefits the better football team.
Absolutely.
And in this case, it really did. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys, obviously, they were the better football team. But again, the Pittsburgh Steelers has had enough opportunities and just did not take advantage of them.
Vince Lombardi trophy going to the winning Dallas Cowboys, who have now equaled the 5-1 by the San Francisco 49ers. And of course, those two teams battling throughout the course of the year for that supreme position and regarded as the two best in the NFL. And there were times where Dallas felt they would not have all the advantages of being home. Number one seed. It appeared the 49ers were in command.
Well, think about it. 2 weeks ago in the season, how it turns around for them. They get home field advantage. They were worried about playing Detroit in the playoffs. That doesn't happen. They get Philadelphia. They match up well against them. Green Bay beats San Francisco. I mean, Dallas, they were scared to play the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. They didn't think they matched up well. The Steelers, a team they thought they matched up well against, comes in.
Charles Haley, by the way, 5 Super Bowl rings. Haley becomes the first to have one finger and the thumb. His father seeing his first Super Bowl game, afraid to fly, so finally coaxed to come out here to Phoenix and see his son win number 5. Father George among those cheering. So Deion Sanders wins back-to-back Super Bowl rings with 2 different teams. 27-17. Dallas, the champions again.
Live from Super Bowl 30, this is the Ford F-150 postgame show. Brought to you by the all-new 1997 Ford F-150. Built Ford tough.
Time now to salute the Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys. Let's go to Greg Gumbel.
All right, Dick Enberg, thank you very much. Down here on the podium, they're here to celebrate a familiar refrain, that of the Dallas Cowboys as champions of the National Football League. I'm joined by head coach Barry Switzer, Dallas owner Jerry Jones and his wife Jean, and the commissioner of the National Football League, Paul Tagliabue, to make a most important presentation. Paul.
Jerry, Jean, Barry, congratulations to you on a tremendous victory for the Cowboys franchise. You played a very tough opponent today, and together you gave us a terrific Super Bowl game. This is the Cowboys' 3rd victory in 4 Super Bowls. You become only the 2nd NFL franchise to win the Super Bowl 5 times. We congratulate you and your extraordinary group of players. Congratulations.
Paul, I want to tell all you Steelers fans, Dan Rooney and his family, Coach Cowher, what a team you have and what a ball game that you gave the National Football League tonight. And I know that everyone in this country recognizes what the Steeler organization is about. But Paul, I've got to say something at this time. As really as accomplished as the talented players that we have on this team, it pales in comparison with how mentally tough and the character that they've had. This ball game represents the kind of season that we've had. It's wonderful just to hold this trophy for you great players, coaching staff, and Barry.
Jerry, let me ask you, this is your, as the commissioner said, 3rd championship in 4 years. Does this one feel any differently? Does it feel any nicer than the other two?
I think it's the game basically says how I feel. The others we won with a bigger score. This was a struggle throughout the game. Our team played just outstanding as a team, and with the character that, as I said, that they've had. This, under the circumstances, for me, and I'm a small perspective, is the sweetest.
All right, Jerry. Head coach Barry Switzer, congratulations to you.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you very much.
It has not been the smoothest of seasons. You told us in our pregame show that what other people thought of you, whether you won or lost, is immaterial. Now that you have won this game, do you still feel that way?
Still feel that way. The only things that count is your family. My personal family and this family right here. That's the ones that stuck with me when times are tough. These are the people I want to be with, Dallas Cowboys. I want to say to Jerry Jones something that's very important. He said to me all year, "Are you having a good time now, Jerry?" Well, I want to tell you, we did it our way, baby. We did it. We did it. We did it.
Let's go back upstairs to Dick Enberg.
So Barry Switzer, who was a young coach and recruited Jimmy Johnson and that man Jerry Jones, they celebrate Super Bowl 30. The Dallas Cowboys champions again. We'll be right back with more.
Okay, boy. Now, just like I taught you, I want you to open the cooler, and I want you to get me an ice-cold Pepsi. Come on, boy. You can do it. Good boy, good boy. Maybe later we'll play Frisbee.
Hey, big boy. You got another one of those for me?
Oh.
You are my je t'aime.
I love this dream.
The job needs 4 guys now at the only full-size pickup with a standard Super Cab third door, 60/40 split rear bench, and standard dual airbags, plus a taller cab for more hat and boot room than ever. After all, the guys aren't getting any smaller. The new Ford F-150. Strength after strength after strength.
Extreme cold. It can change the state of your motor oil, causing it to flow too slowly, keeping it from reaching vital engine parts in time. Fortunately, there's Quaker State Motor Oil, proven to exceed the highest standards car makers have established for engine protection. Quaker State. What's the state of your motor oil when you're out in the cold? Quaker State exceeds the highest standards for engine protection.
Super Sunday excitement continues with the Publishers Clearinghouse Prize Patrol. We're live near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to surprise someone with $10 million.
Patricia?
Yeah.
Please come out.
What?
We're from Publishers Clearinghouse. You just won $10 million. Come here. Come here.
Patricia, come on out.
Patricia. Patricia.
Coming this summer from NBC News and Microsoft, an all-new channel, an all-news network, MSNBC.
Live from Super Bowl 30, this is the Ford F-150 postgame show. Brought to you by the all-new 1997 Ford F-150. Built Ford tough.
Welcome back to Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. The winners of Super Bowl 30, the Dallas Cowboys. For the third time in 4 years, the final today, 27-17. I want to remind you that coming up after our postgame show, a special 1-hour edition of Friends here on NBC. Here in the Dallas Cowboys locker room, Greg Gumbel joined by quarterback Troy Aikman. How is it? I'm more out of breath than you are, and you've played a football game. Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much. This is the guys are just now piling into the locker room, and I think it's a feeling more of relief than anything else. We were able to come out and win the ball game, and certainly there were high expectations for this football team, and everybody's very happy, but relieved just the same.
It obviously was not the smoothest of roads getting here, Troy, but why relief?
I don't know. I think maybe just because there's so much expected from this football team over the years. But it wasn't the prettiest game that we've played. Defense stepped up and played hard when they had to and made the key plays. And offensively, we didn't do it particularly well there in the second half. But like I say, a win's a win.
So much for predicted blowouts. But in the first half, you really did have a chance to put this game away, and it didn't happen.
Well, we did, and then we wound up having to settle for some field goals instead of get touchdowns, and then they came right back. And we had more control of the game in the first half than what it appeared on the scoreboard. Second half, then, like I say, we didn't do real well offensively, but our defense stepped up, and this guy over here played well.
You know, your thoughts on the Pittsburgh Steelers before we let you get away?
They're an outstanding football team. There's no question, and we knew that coming in. We knew that it was going to be a tough ball game, and that's what it was.
Troy, you're in some pretty rare company now. Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, 4-0 in Super Bowls. You step up to 3-0.
Yeah, it was. It's nice to be mentioned along those guys, and like I say, it's a tribute to all these players in here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Troy Aikman. Joining me up here on the podium is Mr. Charles Haley, whose playing situation was really very much in doubt, I guess, up until just a couple of minutes before game time. How did your back feel out there?
Well, you know, it got a little sore towards the halftime. But when I got out there, you know, just being out there with the guys, man, you know, I didn't feel no pain. The only thing that was bothering me was my conditioning. I just wish to God that I had a little bit more time to condition myself so I could have gave a better showing.
A couple of sacks out there, though. It seems that you picked your spots very well.
Well, you know, I just thank God. You know, this team has gelled together. Some of the guys that I used to get on all the time, Larry Brown and Shante Cobble, really proved themselves today, and I think that this team has really grown up a lot.
You claim your 5th Super Bowl ring, and you have also flirted with the idea of possibly calling it quits. Have you played your last professional football game?
You know, what's going to happen is, you know, I'm going to go to Hawaii, hang out a while, then I'm come back, and I got to talk to the doctors. I got to find out exactly what's going to happen if I keep doing it. You know, like I said, it did get a little bit sore. You know, I'm 32 years old. I got to look past and be able to play with my kids and stuff down the road. But this is something I love. If there's a chance of me playing, then I probably will.
Charles, 5 Super Bowl rings is nothing to sneeze at. Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Plenty more coming your way from the Dallas Cowboys locker room. The Cowboys, 27-17 winners over the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll take a timeout and come right back after this.
Ford Credit and Ford Division announced the Great Percent event, reducing interest rates to just 4.8% APR.
Just your friendly neighborhood M&Ms. Sit down.
The same M&Ms that come in the bag?
Same ones.
Only bigger.
With a colorful shell, just like this?
The actor's catching on.
And rich milk chocolate on the inside?
Yes.
Oh, then I'm really glad you came by.
Why is that?
Because I'm all out. Which one of you is Peanut?
He is. I hear he's delicious. So long, buddy.
Aliens have invaded Earth, and they've discovered football.
Okay, so I'm the quarterback. I fake to Tommy, then I lateral it to you, Harry. You break up field. Ready? Hut! Hut! Hut!
Touchdown.
Third Rock from the Sun has landed on NBC Tuesdays.
Welcome back to the Ford F-150 postgame show. Brought to you by the all-new 1997 Ford F-150. Built Ford tough.
The Dallas Cowboys are victorious in Super Bowl 30. Welcome back to Tempe, Arizona. I'm now joined by Bill Cowher, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bill, the slow start in the first half, was the emotion of the game. Did that have anything to do with the slow start by the Steelers?
Well, that's hard to say, but you know, obviously my hats go off to Dallas, and they made the plays and we didn't.
You had a chance to steal this game. What was your feeling coming down the stretch before the big interception by Larry Brown?
Well, I felt good about it. We came out of the second half. We put together a little drive. Unfortunately, we couldn't do anything with it. I think we had a big sack there that knocked us back out of field goal. But, you know, the big onside kick gave us some momentum. We went back down and scored and had the big kickoff. You know, obviously they ended up, getting some field position. But, you know, we still had the opportunity. And, you know, hey, my hat's off to our football team. We got here with our 4 wides, with the no hurry. Unfortunately, we fell short today. But I'm proud of this football team.
Bill, do you feel as though you were beaten or that you beat yourselves?
Well, I mean, in sports, I mean, there's so many ways if you want to say it, but the bottom line is the Cowboys made plays and we didn't. But I'll say this about our football team. We fought. We weren't intimidated. We came out, and, you know, that's the last play typified this season. We're going to go right into the very end. And like I said, I'm proud of our guys. They never stayed died. And, you know, hey, we gave it our best shot today. It wasn't good enough.
Bill, thanks for coming out. It's a difficult time for you. Congratulations on a great season.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, we'll be back with more from the Dallas Cowboys locker room MVP Larry Brown and Emmitt Smith when we return here to Tempe.
F-150 postgame show, brought to you by the all-new 1997 Ford F-150, built Ford tough.
27-17, the Dallas Cowboys over the Pittsburgh Steelers in Super Bowl 30. We are in the Dallas Cowboys locker room. Welcome back, everyone. Greg Gumbel joined by the game MVP, Larry Brown. And you can tell when a guy isn't used to this, because what did you tell me about this trophy?
I said this thing is getting heavy. It's my third one, but it's still heavy here.
Let's talk about the interceptions. The first one you said was a Neil O'Donnell mistake.
Yeah, the first one I think he had a bad read, and I was able to go get it and just hang on to it. The second one, they had been running slants on me all day, so I got a good jump on it and made a play on it and was able to go take as far as I could.
You tied for the lead in interceptions with this team this season with 6, yet I can't say that you were really the most heralded member of the defensive secondary, but you come up with a big game.
Well, you know, we got so many stars on our team, but, you know, I just wanted to go out today, play hard. I knew I was going to stay away from my boy Deion, so I knew I was going to be the key today. And, you know, whenever you give our offense, Michael, Emmett, Troy, those guys a chance, it's over.
Larry, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
I'm going to talk over here with Emmitt Smith's setup man, Larry Brown. He makes 2 picks. Emmitt Smith scores 2 touchdowns. This wasn't your best day rushing, though, was it?
No, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is we won the game. That's what it's all about. And I think everybody here sharing the moment because, I mean, we all want to win. That's the bottom line. No matter if I got 100 yards or 200, the bottom line is we won the game.
Tell me about the Pittsburgh defense and the changes that they made in the second half.
You know, Pittsburgh played a great ball game the whole day. I mean, their defense, you know, I have a lot of respect for them. And, you know, they just start coming at us and just kept coming. They never quit. They never laid down. And unfortunately, we was able to make enough plays to win the game. And, you know, when Larry got that last interception, all we was talking about in the huddle was getting the ball in the end zone. And, you know, all I could do was just lower my head down and get into the end zone and put the thing in the zone. 18
postseason touchdowns, 5 Super Bowl touchdowns, both National Football League records. Congratulations,
Thank
Emmitt.
you, sir.
Michael Irvin, who's crying about the penalty called early in the first half. You told me you've recanted that a little bit.
Well, I knew it was a penalty. You know, people got to understand, my first job is to catch anything Troy throw. Well, if I can't catch it, my second job is to make sure nobody else catch it. And he got an early jump on the ball, and I was just trying to make sure he didn't get the interception.
I know that everybody, or most everyone, was predicting a Dallas blowout, and although I know you guys were confident all week long, did this kind of game surprise you?
No, we expected this type of game. You know, when you look at Pittsburgh on film, they got a real quick defense, guys that keep coming and playing hard all game long, and we knew that. We talked about going out on the football field. We said, hey, if we got to play 60 minutes, we'll play 60 minutes, and we got to be careful. We may even have to go to 75 minutes. We were prepared for overtime. It's a good thing. We're fortunate we won in regulation.
3 titles in 4 years. Congratulations, Michael.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to tell you something. This thing isn't over yet now. Don't close the book. It's not the last chapter. We still got some chapters to write.
I haven't closed a thing. Thanks very much. And number 21 here, Deion Sanders, who would like to hold the trophy for just a moment before Michael gives it away into the crowd.
You know, I didn't get to hold this last year.
Deion, this is a pretty good legacy for you. You go to San Francisco last year, they win a Super Bowl. You come to Dallas this year, they win a Super Bowl.
I don't think I was the difference, though. I mean, some people may say, but that ain't the difference.
What was the difference?
First of all, I think the Lord had a lot to do with this, and this team is unbelievable. We a hell of a coach in Barry Switzer, and the big 3 on offense, and the way this defense performed, we can't be faded.
I'd like to know what's in your immediate future. Are you planning to play baseball this season?
I tell you what, I love the fans of Dallas. And the baseball situation's up in there, but I'm happy with what I'm doing.
All right, Deion, congratulations.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to my mom, my family, my stepfather, Willie. Hey, my boys back, Rossville, all my homies. What's up, now?
Thanks, Deion. Deion Sanders. We want to remind you, we have a 1-hour edition of Friends coming your way right after we wrap things up, and we will come back to wrap things up from Tempe, Arizona, after these words from your local station.
NBC's fantastical February. And Margaret, as you've never seen her before.
Stop spreading those vicious lies.
Seduced by madness. 2 more bestsellers become NBC motion picture events. Robin Cook's thriller, Terminal. And its explosive action in 87th Precinct. Adam Baldwin, Lindsay Frost, the decade's deadliest fire, Smoke Jumpers, the greatest players, the NBA All-Star Game, daytime's biggest night, the Soap Opera Awards. Hollywood honors their own at the Screen Actors Guild Awards. Plus, world champion master magician Lance Burton.
It's all new must-see TV with special guests. Tom Selleck on Friends. Shelley Long reunites with Frasier. Plus 4 powerful all-new ERs. February's biggest adventure, Ted Danson in Gulliver's Travels. The biggest names, the biggest events. It's Fantastical February on NBC.
I'm Rex Shirley, and I'm a conservative businessman. I've started...
Emmitt Smith and his teammates, the Cowboys, victorious in the Super Bowl 3 times now in the last 4 years. Welcome back to Tempe. I'm now joined by Neil O'Donnell, Steelers quarterback. Neil, can you tell us about the 2 interceptions, particularly the last one? Larry Brown was all alone, standing there where the ball was thrown 2 times straight.
Well, the first one kind of got away from me. The second one, you know, we're all in this together. We're a team, and we win together and we lose together. And you know, I'm not going to single anything out like that. That's never my style. But, hey, you have to give Dallas credit. They did us a lot of blitz zones, and they fell into certain places. So it was a game that I told everyone would be an exciting one, and I think we had an opportunity to win it, but Dallas just came out on top.
I know you don't want to single anybody out, but did Corey Holiday miss his assignment there?
No, Corey didn't miss his assignment. No, like I said, you know, we're all in this together. We're trying to win a championship as well as Dallas is. So, you know, I'd like to congratulate the Cowboys, and we'll bounce back next year.
Neil, great season. Thanks for coming out and answering the questions.
Thank you.
That's it from down here in the Steelers locker room. Let's go back upstairs to Dick Enberg.
Thank you, Jim Gray. It was interesting watching Phil Simms bobbing and weaving with both Aikman and O'Donnell throughout this game. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts, I thought twice the Steelers had a chance to gain momentum and maybe take this game over. But what happened? The Cowboys gambled with the blitz 2 times, and both times Larry Brown comes up with the interception.
Paul McGuire?
You know, we've been waiting for a good game. We had a very good game today. And if people, I'm a defensive player. I like defensive football game. You had it on both sides of the ball. The Pittsburgh Steelers were tremendous on defense, and the Dallas Cowboys did everything that they had to do to win this football game on defense. Credit the coordinators on defense. Did a great job.
And credit to Barry Switzer, 58 years old. He joins Jimmy Johnson as the only coaches in history to win the Collegiate Championship and the Super Bowl. So the NFC string of domination reaches a dozen. The Dallas Cowboys have accomplished a first ever 3 Super Bowl wins in 4 years, placing them with the NFL's elite teams. And on a team of superstars, Aikman and Irvin and Novacek and Dion and Haley and Emmitt Smith, it's Larry Brown who produces the most valuable play. And Barry Switzer, 65 undefeated Arkansas team he coached, assistant. Undefeated Oklahoma teams in 75 and 85. And the 5 years are his best, a Super Bowl. And in 20 seconds, NBC presents the 1-hour special episode of Friends.
The NBA All-Star Game, the Players' Championship, the French Open, the U.S. Open.
We interrupt the legend figure skating to bring you ESPN's continuing coverage of Super Bowl 30. The Dallas Cowboys claimed their 3rd NFL championship in the past 4 years and their 5th overall with a 27-17 win over the Steelers. For Barry Switzer, a long year, and he celebrates with a cold one. Hello, once again, I'm Dan Patrick. Former Green Bay Packers All-Pro Sterling Sharpe will join me in a moment to offer his perspective on the Cowboys' victory. We're here till the top of the hour when we bring you Primetime / Sportscenter. We will also take you back to Sun Devil Stadium for post-game interviews with both teams. But before we talk about what Dallas did to the Steelers, let's show you how they did it. To Sun Devil Stadium. Hugs all the way around. Pre-game for Slash in prime time. Michael Irvin ready for a big day. Brinson Buckner pumped up for the Steelers, who came in as 13-point underdogs. Cowboys led 3-0 in the first quarter. Troy Aikman looking for more, and he finds Michael Irvin. Then it's Aikman looking to Deion Sanders. Willie Williams on the coverage, 47 yards. And Deion, not understated, a little bit pumped up. First and goal, Aikman play action, and Jay Novacek comes from the right to the left. And in the end zone, Cowboys led it 10-0. Bill Cowher tried to rally his defense, but to no avail. First and 10, boys from the 24-yard line. Aikman looking for Michael Irvin. There's a flag. Let's look at it again. Pass interference on Michael Irvin. Barry's reaction, we won't read lips. The replay shows that Irvin tugs on Carnell Lake's shirt. Proves to be a good call. The Steelers defense responds. They hold the Cowboys to a field goal, 13-0 boys. Neil O'Donnell looking to Andre Hastings. The Steeler offense rising to the occasion. Where else but late in the second quarter. Dion, sort of a tackle. Bam Morris, 10 yards on the carry before the 2-minute warning. And then Neil O'Donnell to Yancey Thigpen, 13-7 Steelers, the 10th time in the last 12 games they've scored right before the end of the first half. You look at the replay, Thigpen beats Dion inside. Dion pushes him right into the ball to make the catch. Steelers trail 13-7 at the half, but Cowher's team clearly had the momentum. Emmett stuffed by Kevin Green and friends in the second half. The Steelers defense tightened. Emmett stuffed again by Levon Kirkland. And then it's the Steelers offense trying to capitalize, but Neil O'Donnell, in a pass that he will be thinking about for quite some time, is picked off by a former 12th round draft pick, Larry Brown, down to the Steelers' 19-yard line. The Cowboys capitalize. Aikman, Irvin, 17 yards. When you get this close, Emmett gets it. Emmett turns, twists, and gets in. 20-7 Cowboys. A late call, but a good call. And Bill Cowher's Steelers get a field goal to cut the lead to 20-10. The onside kick recovered by the other Dion. Dion figures. The Steelers try to take advantage. Neil O'Donnell, plenty of time, finds Yancey Thigpen, who gets crushed by Dixon Edwards, but he holds on to the football. And Barry's starting to get nervous. Bam Morris. And we've got ourselves the Super Bowl. O'Donnell senses new life. The lead is now cut to 20-17. The Steelers' next possession, another pass Neil O'Donnell will be thinking about for quite some time. And once again, it's Larry Brown coming back to haunt him. Down to the 6-yard line. O'Donnell disappointed. Emmett elated. Another touchdown. The Cowboys lead 27-17. Steelers' last chance, 3rd and 10, 1:53 to go. O'Donnell's incomplete pass off the fingers of Andre Hastings. 4th down. O'Donnell to John L. Williams. And Emmett celebrates. For Rod Woodson, a miraculous comeback for him, but it was not to be. And for Barry Switzer, redemption. A Super Bowl champion. 27-17 the final. Aikman had a blistering first half, cooled off in the second half. 1 touchdown pass. Larry Brown is your MVP. More on Larry in a moment. And Emmett held to just 48 yards rushing. So the Dallas Cowboys have now won one for the thumb. 5 titles. The Packers lead overall with 11 titles. The Bears, the Giants, the Niners, Redskins, and Cowboys all tied at 5 titles. After the game, Chris Mortensen did what the Steelers couldn't do, caught up to Michael Irvin.
All right, I'm here with Michael Irvin. Mike, was this game about what you expected or anything surprised you?
No, it was about what we expected. We expected a tough team. We expected a tough game. You know, they do a lot of things up front. They kind of confuse us sometimes. But our offensive line stepped up. They made the plays when they had to make them, and we won the game.
After Larry's first interception, first pass, a pass to you, can you go through that play for me?
Oh, you know what? As a matter of fact, I kind of got chucked at the line of scrimmage by Kevin Green, and then I had to beat I don't know if it was safety or Cornell Lake, beat him to the corner. But, you know, Troy, he held on to it a little longer than we had in practice because the guy was right on my back. He just threw it low and away, and I was able to catch the ball and get it to the 1. And, you know, once we get it to 1, Deuce going to get us 6.
How about Larry Brown winning MVP? Everybody always looks to you, Troy, Emmett. This time Larry Brown comes up with the big trophy.
Well, no, but everybody outside of the organization looked to us because we're the headline names. Me, Troy, Emmett, Dion, those type of people. But within the organization, we know every player has his role. You know, we knew Larry Brown would have a great game. We knew he was going to have the opportunity to have a great game. And you're happy for him. You're real happy for him. I thought he got overlooked in the Pro Bowl after the season he had. This is his justification for it.
Last question, will this team win more Super Bowls? Is it the team of the 90s?
Hey, let me tell you something, man. I said it before the clock ran down. This story hadn't completed yet. This is not the last chapter. We still got some chapters to write. As long as I got guys like Emmett and Troy, a coach like Barry, an owner like Jerry that's willing to go out when I said, Jerry, go get a player. We need this player. He usually go out and get him. this chapter isn't over.
Great, thanks, Mike.
Thank you, guys.
From one All-Pro to another, Sterling Sharpe joins me for our analysis of Super Bowl 30. You have to be impressed with both teams because the Steelers did pull out the playbook. They did everything they needed to do, and it seemed like the Cowboys never panicked when they really could have.
Dan, both teams were highly prepared. When you look at this game, I mean, you look at Pittsburgh wanted to throw the ball to the inside of the Dallas Cowboy defense where they've been weak all year. You look at the way Dallas changed up their offense, getting Jay Novacek inside of the Pittsburgh linebackers, and the onside kick was just another great call up by Bill Cowher. I mean, it's the Super Bowl. Don't hold anything back.
And for a change, it wasn't consumer fraud. I mean, this literally lived up to the hype, and that's pretty hard to do when it became 20-17. The Steelers offense was able to keep that Dallas defense on the field and make it interesting. It's usually the other way around. Dallas will bang down your defense.
Right.
Got to give credit to the secondary, and particularly Larry Brown. He's lost in the shadow of Deion Sanders. He emerges as the star.
Much maligned after last year's championship game where you get up the touchdown to Jerry at the end of the first half. But the one thing Larry Brown does is he continues to work within himself and do things that he knows he can get done. I mean, the interception in the third quarter here, we can take a look. There's a lot of things going on here. First, Chad Henne's getting great pressure on Neil O'Donnell. This is an all-out blitz, and Larry Brown here is supposed to be in man coverage, covering the guy on the hash, but he's sitting back there. The pressure causes Neil O'Donnell not to be able to step up into this throw. Larry Brown just got really, really lucky.
Neil O'Donnell had a couple of misreads, but for the most part, he got into a rhythm. And usually he struggles early, he struggles late, but it seemed like he seemed to pick up that rhythm, and he seemed to be able to solve the Dallas defense.
Well, it's like this. It was a tale of two different people. It was like the receivers in the first half, they couldn't catch a cold, and then they got hot during late in the second quarter, beginning of the third quarter. They were on fire, but then you go down the stretch, the one that went off Andre Hastings' helmet. I mean, it's things like that. You got to put it together for 60 minutes.
All right, our coverage of Super Bowl 30 will continue up until the top of the hour when Chris Berman and company, along with Keith Olbermann, will join you for Primetime/SportsCenter. We're here for the next 40 minutes or so. We'll have post-game comments from the winners and losers right after this.
When you want a hot meal without a big...
A subtle reminder, our Super Bowl edition of SportsCenter continues at 11 Eastern. Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, Joe Theismann, Keith Olbermann have all the Super Bowl action, and also Chicago Bulls in action earlier today against the Phoenix Suns. It's been a busy year for Jerry Jones. He's been criticized for his deals with corporate sponsors. He also brought in Deion Sanders for $35 million. People also question his friendship with Barry Switzer. Was he a good enough coach to win a Super Bowl? Jerry Jones gets redemption as well in the victory in Super Bowl 30. Here's Leslie Visser with the Cowboys owner.
Well, a man who won his third Super Bowl in 4 years, Jerry Jones, quite an accomplishment.
Well, Leslie, to think that that team in December was counted out, they hung on to the positives. And it's a lesson for all of us. They wouldn't dwell on the negatives. They hung on every positive they could. Things started turning positive for us, and it really is a great tribute to the character of the leadership and really the young 27 players that have never played on a Super Bowl team.
What kind of vindication is this for Barry Switzer?
Oh, I think that certainly the criticism we had at the end of the year, but certainly Barry, you know, has a great record as a coach and winning and inspiring everyone, and he's engaged our team. He's just done a great job, and there is vindication here, but only vindication for the players and the way that they now have been a part of 3 Super Bowls in 4 years.
Not many people would have picked Larry Brown as the MVP of this game. What do you think about his performance?
Well, what a time for Larry to get the job done. You know, he lost a son right before our Phoenix game, or it was one of our games that he lost late in the year. The entire team's heart poured out for him. And, you know, I really know somebody's looking after you. I hope his wife is happy, and it gives him a little solace.
Tremendous accomplishment for you and all the Cowboys, Jerry. Congratulations. Back to you guys.
Leslie, thank you. Most Super Bowl victories. The 49ers and Cowboys now each have one for the thumb. The Steelers still looking for that. And the Oakland/LA Raiders and the Redskins with 3. For Deion Sanders, he's got quite a hardware collection of Super Bowl rings now, and we knew that he would play an important role on defense. But offensively, that's what he wants to talk about tonight.
And it's scary that you would let a guy like that do what he wants to do. When you're a defensive back, you don't want a receiver to do what he feels comfortable with. Michael Irvin getting your hands on you, so to speak. But the one thing that Deion Sanders did was he showed some of that great speed, and Troy Aikman with the arm. And I mean, you look at this, Willie Williams bails and just lets him run, which is a huge mistake. There's no one in the NFL that can run with the Deion Sanders. And you see the hands for a defensive back. That was a great keeping his body between the ball and the defender. And I just have to fault Willie Williams for that. I mean, he's one of my guys I've known for a long time. You can't let a guy with that great speed run.
Deion doesn't want to talk about his defense, though, in this game on Yancey Thigpen. But
that ain't important.
No, it's not.
The 47-yard catch.
Two guys who used to throw the football, including one guy who used to throw that football at Arizona's Sun Devil Stadium. Mark Malone and Ron Jaworski now join us from the field, guys.
Well, thank you, Dan. Josh and I were sitting here talking for a few minutes, and one of the things that really surprised us was the way that Dallas came out and attacked the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. It was thought all week long, Josh, that the defense would have a problem because they were undersized, that Emmitt Smith would pound away, but in fact, they kind of went at him through the air.
Well, early in the ball game, they tried to go to the trap game. They tried to use their big offensive lineman to kick out on Greg Lloyd, their undersized linebacker / defensive end. And they did a good job on it. But Pittsburgh made a real nice adjustment. They started crashing their linebackers, playing the double zone, forcing Emmitt to bounce outside, and the cornerbacks they're making plays. So then they went to the pass, and of course, when you got an inside receiver like Novacek, he can beat you in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I was surprised at the way the Dallas Cowboys came out and spread the formation. They moved Moose Johnson up to tight end, split out Novacek, and really tried to get matchups with Kevin Green, Greg Lloyd, and really started to attack them through the air. Now, the other thing that I was really shocked about was the Steelers' offense. This was an offense that was supposed to be wide open. They came out and were extremely conservative.
Well, early in the ball game, and I talked to Ron Earhart before the game, he wanted to start off conservative, get Neil O'Donnell into the game. And we know for a first-time quarterback, it's always difficult the first time you're in the Super Bowl. He did a nice job of settling him down. Neil, I think outside of the two interceptions, one was not his fault. I'll be interested to look at the tape on that one, but it looked like Holiday, kind of left him hanging. He read the two-man blitz on one side, and Neil threw the ball, and all of a sudden Holiday took off in the interception. But I thought they did a good job of creating matchups that favored the Steelers.
Yeah, they were in a situation to win this football game at 20-17. The interceptions hurt them. And one of the things, you mentioned the interception, the late one, the second one by Larry Brown. And interestingly enough, I talked to Bill Bates right after the game, the defensive back for the Dallas Cowboys, and he tells me, hey, listen, we knew they didn't want to go to Corey Holiday, so what we did was blitzed off that side, forced them to throw the football on a hot route to that side, a miscommunication between Neil and Corey Holiday, who previously had one catch before this game, and that was in the AFC Championship game, played with a broken hand, and they end up with a big play, and it cost them the football game.
Well, you look at this football game, the Steelers played an outstanding game. And Mark, all the video we look at, all the tape we look at, what usually happens? A game is lost. And this was a typical example of that. The Cowboys are the world champions. They deserve to be, but I think the mistakes the Steelers gave them the ball game.
Well, absolutely, and the Pittsburgh Steelers now are going to have a very long offseason to contemplate how close they got, the position they were in to win this thing, and let it slip away. Dan, back to you.
All right, guys, we'll check back with you at the stadium as we'll have post-game interviews. Emmitt Smith only had 49 yards rushing, but 2 touchdowns on the evening. The Steelers it seemed like they were determined they weren't going to let Emmitt beat them tonight.
They weren't going to let Emmitt beat them because they had so many men stacked at the line of scrimmage. And plays like this right here, the Cowboy offensive line, they just get on rails and start running. And you see the gaping hole, Emmitt hits it running. But what happened was I think the Pittsburgh Steelers did a smart thing by run blitzing the Dallas Cowboys. They lined up in their 3-4, and they started blitzing, and there's no sense in trying to run the football uphill. Start throwing it, and that's what they did.
Plenty more to come on this edition, a pregame edition of Sportscenter in primetime. It's ESPN's version of Friends. When we come back, we'll hear from the Dallas Cowboys head coach Barry Switzer, who talks about his victory, a victory that he said he had to have this year. Welcome back as our Super Bowl coverage continues from the Arizona Center. Sterling Sharpe will rejoin me in a moment. We'll also take you back out for more interviews with Mark Malone and Ron Jaworski. When Barry Switzer took over this Dallas Cowboys job, he said the expectations were higher than any other coach had in NFL history. He had to win a Super Bowl to vindicate himself. He did exactly that. Leslie Visser has more with the head coach ready to rejoice after some redemption.
Man of the moment, Barry Switzer, congratulations to you. Can you say what this means to you and what this means to the team?
Well, I think that, as I told him at the half, we played 23 and a half ball games. We had 30 minutes more to play and a lifetime to remember it. And now I do have that, a lifetime to remember that there are 29 that didn't make it, and there's one that stands alone, and that's the winner, and that's the Dallas Cowboys.
Everyone's used to Emmett having a good game, Troy having a good game. Not many people would have picked Larry Brown as the MVP of this game.
Well, it's interesting. Leslie, I told our football team before we went out, I said, I'm going to stay with the tradition of introducing the offense. I know the defense hasn't been introduced to the Super Bowl, and several of you have asked that. But I said, the crowd loves all those prima donnas, and you know who they are. And I wished I could introduce everyone in this room. But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Everyone in this room knows this. The defense will win this football game. And they did, and it worked out beautifully for everyone.
What made you think that against the Pittsburgh offense?
Well, I just thought we would play good enough defense, and we did. We never made the big play against us. The thing that bothered me before the half for them to make a 3rd and 20 and a 2nd and 18 and a 3rd and 14. They made some big plays in that one drive. But other than that, an onside kick, we pretty well controlled it.
Do you feel vindicated? I know you hate that word.
No, I don't pay any attention to that stuff. We just did it my way.
Still, you might celebrate, though.
Oh, imagine I always will.
Thank you, Barry. Back to you.
Leslie, thank you. In case you're wondering, that was David Robinson in the locker room. I don't think Jerry Jones is going to sign him next year. I think David is just a big Cowboy fan. We take it back out to the stadium. Mark Malone, Ron Jaworski, a pair of former QBs. Want to talk? What else? Passing.
Passing, absolutely. Although you saw my runs there the other night, Dan, passing is what we did best. Again, we were talking about how Dallas departed from their normal offensive sets, and not only did they exploit the Steelers' defense with the inside receivers, but they were able to run the football as well. First, talk to me about how they got the ball to Novacek.
Well, matchups in football are important, and Ernie Zampese did a nice job of creating matchups that favor the Dallas Cowboys. What he was doing was using some motion, putting Johnson out in different positions. And Kevin Green is a pass rusher. They got Novacek singled out on him. That's a guy that you can get away from. Novacek beat him at the line of scrimmage, catches the ball down the field. That was a mismatch created by offensive formation variation.
Yeah, and the other thing about that is they went back to that formation on a couple of occasions and were able to run Emmitt Smith when Kevin Green was outside covering Novacek, and now he's not a factor in the running game as well. Now, later in the ball game, they moved Novacek over to the other side and split him out against Greg Lloyd, a speedier guy, a guy you would think could cover Novacek, but again, the crafty vet is able to get stuff loose.
Correct. You're talking about the best receiving tight end in football, and I'll say bar none. This guy has the way of getting open. We saw him beat Green. Now he beats Lloyd. Lloyd, an outstanding physical specimen, but doesn't match up with the quick feet that Jay Novacek has. Here, boom, he beats him off the line. Levon Kirkland cannot get in there quick enough to get a 19-yard gain. This is also great coaching by Ernie Zampese to create the favorable matchup for the Cowboys.
And it's really interesting because the Cowboys and Ernie Zampese had done little this year to try to vary their offense, but here with 2 weeks to prepare for the Super Bowl, they come up with a great game plan and their 3rd Super Bowl championship in 4 years. Dan?
All right, guys, thanks. The Dallas Cowboys richer by $42,000. The loser's share for the Pittsburgh Steelers, $27,000. We'll return. Plenty more interviews from the winners. We hope to hear from the Steelers before we send it to SportsCenter/primetime. We're back right after this from the Arizona Center in downtown. Welcome back. Larry Brown, the 5th time we've seen a Super Bowl MVP come from the defensive end. The 3rd time the Dallas Cowboys have had a person.
A defensive.
Yeah, we had Chuck Howley, who was a losing member of the Dallas Cowboys, but you had Harvey and Randy White, the great Dallas Cowboy teams back in the 70s. So Larry Brown steps out of nowhere, but I think it was by accident that he got this MVP,
it was
wasn't it?
a lot of accident. I mean, a lot of people might call that accident luck, because what happens is on the first interception, it's man-to-man, all-out blitz. Larry Brown is playing zone. He gets right. He gets a pick. On the second interception, the receiver runs the wrong route. As you can see right here on this tape, it's an all-out blitz again. And Larry Brown is caught sitting inside, but he's standing there. He jumped. Corey Holiday misses it, so should run a slant instead of a post. And what happens is when you have that, Neil O'Donnell's thrown to a spot, not a man. When you get that pick, Dallas put the game away with that one.
It was also a long year for him, and it's also vindication for last year for Larry Brown.
It is, and the one thing you have to look at is the guy has to come back and redeem himself. And what happens is when you redeem yourself in a Super Bowl and you become the MVP, all that other stuff that happened a few years ago, you forget all about it.
Well, it's also a theme for Leon Lett, a guy who's also had a very long season. We have his comments following the Cowboys' victory.
Another guy won 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years, El Gato Grande, which means?
The big cat.
And tell us about this game. What an accomplishment.
Oh, it was a tough game, man.
They had us on the ropes there. We had them on the ropes. They had us on the ropes, but we come up with the win.
But obviously you weren't confused by the multiple sets. It wasn't anything that you weren't prepared for?
Oh, no, our coaches gave us a great game plan, and we went out and, we put it together.
Can you say how this feels different from the other Super Bowls?
This feels great for me. This was a tough year for me, going through a lot of different stuff, and just great to be here.
What is the thing, people are saying now 12 straight years, NFC dominance. What is it with you guys?
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, they played us tough. They are a great team. We just came up with the win.
When they talk about people they might have expected to be the MVP on defense, not many people would have named Larry Brown. How special is this for him?
This is great for Larry. I was in the meeting room last night watching film with him late. It was like 10 o'clock, and he was still in there watching film, so I knew he was going to have a great game.
Tremendous game for all you. Congratulations, Leon.
Thank you.
Leon Lett. There are a few Dallas Cowboys that were seeking redemption and certainly got it. Leon Lett, a big run stopper for the Dallas Cowboys in Super Bowl 30. A subtle reminder coming up at the top of the hour, it's SportsCenter. Certainly takes on a football flavor Super Bowl edition. Chris Berman and Keith Olbermann will anchor our coverage. Our Sunday conversations with the new head coach of the Buccaneers, Tony Dungy. Sterling and I return in a moment.
So what's it gonna... Hey, it's you!
How old's her?
I'm a big fan.
Really?
Yeah, I just love your Diamond Minute race.
Oh, well, actually, that's Sprint's Diamond Minute race. Don't be so modest. It's great.
And it's good forever. You know how I can at my...
Welcome back to the Arizona Center in downtown Phoenix as our Super Bowl coverage continues here on ESPN. Neil O'Donnell's road to Super Bowl 30 took an early detour in this season when he suffered an injury, but he managed to make it back. Through a lot of criticism, people wondered if he was a big game quarterback. He had his moments in Super Bowl 30, but he also had some moments that proved to be costly. Andrea Kramer caught up with the Steeler quarterback after the loss.
Neil, how do you sum up your emotions at this point?
Oh, it was a tough loss. It really was, because we had an opportunity to win it, and it came down to a few turnovers, and a lot of people didn't give us a chance coming in here. But I thought all together as a team, we laid it all on the line, and we all played extremely well. And I told people during the week it would be an exciting game, and it's just too bad we fell short. But you have to tip your hats to the Cowboys. They've won 3 in the past 4 years, so good. All I could say is they beat us today, but we'll bounce back.
What happened on the interceptions? What did you see, or what didn't you see? Were there routes broken off, miscommunication?
Well, the first one just slipped out of my hands. I was trying to get the ball to Ernie Mills, and it was warm out there, and it just slipped out of my hands. And those things happen. That's not the characteristic of Neil O'Donnell. I'm not one to throw a lot of interceptions. The other one, it's a team sport. So, I thought my wide receiver corps played extremely well all day long. They made some big plays, some big third downs. So, I just think, we just have to bounce back from this.
After the first pick, was there any break in your confidence level?
No, not at all. You can't play this position like that. Things happen. You're throwing interceptions. Then you just have to bounce back, because I'm out there to lead an offense. And if they see any sign of myself losing confidence, it's hard to run it. But no, I got on a little roll after that first interception. I felt pretty comfortable out there all night.
Neil, in any way, do you think this might affect your free agent status?
I don't have no comment on that. I'm going to sit back. I thought Neil O'Donnell had a pretty good year this year. This is what it's all about, bringing a team to a Super Bowl. So we came here, and I'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Neil, very classy for you to join us. Thank you very much.
Andrea, thank you. Neil O'Donnell, just 7 interceptions during the regular season, 2 in Super Bowl 30. From one Steeler to another Steeler quarterback. Mark Malone rejoins us out at Sun Devil Stadium. Mark, your thoughts on Neil O'Donnell this entire season and in Super Bowl 30?
Well, first of all, let me start by saying I think Neil did a very classy thing there, but because clearly in the replay, Corey Holiday looked like he broke the route. I talked to Billy Bates, as I said earlier. They tried to blitz from that side, try to create a situation where Neil O'Donnell had to throw to the wide receiver, and ultimately there was a miscommunication. It makes the injury to Ernie Mills earlier that much bigger. I think the other thing is, after this Super Bowl, I think it's clear to say that Neil O'Donnell is a quarterback that thrives when you put him in positions to throw the football. He's not a guy that gets overly excited. His receivers did a good job today catching the football, but in the second half, the Steelers ran 55 plays to Dallas's 19 plays. They had them on the ropes. Had there not been that miscommunication, Neil O'Donnell was hot. He was in a groove, and I think this is a guy that's going to continue to get better and flourish in an offense that likes to throw the football. The other thing I'd like to say, and this is to add on to your comments, Dan, about his efficiency. Here's a guy that ranks #1 in NFL history for quarterbacks with 1,500 or more attempts, terms of how many interceptions he throws. 1 in every 48 attempts. It's outstanding. This is a guy that really understands the passing game and understands defenses. And Ron, as I'm joined now by Ron Jaworski. Ron, you played this game 17 years as a quarterback. A lot of people had their doubts about Neil O'Donnell. What did you learn about him in Super Bowl 30?
Well, I'm going to reiterate something you talked about, and that's Neil O'Donnell's ability to come back. After he threw the first interception, a lot of guys would have gone in the tank. He admitted it was a poor throw. He came back, and I was standing on the Pittsburgh sideline. He had that fire in his face. You could just see he was ready to get back on the field, and he threw the ball very, very well. Also, Neil O'Donnell is a fighter. He's a guy that comes back. When his football team was behind this season, he threw 7 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. So there's a guy that plays well when his football team is behind. And I've watched the evolution of Neil O'Donnell from a guy that made mistakes, mechanically made some poor throws because he would drop the ball. He has worked hard. Ron Earhart has worked hard with him to make him a professional quarterback. And he's going to get better. I think even though at this point right now, he's still maybe in the top 5 in my opinion.
Well, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Obviously, the people in the Pittsburgh area and Steeler fans are going to have to get used to the passing game because this football team now passes the ball more than it throws the ball.
And Mark, you know, I don't agree with that. You got to have balance in the offense, and we talk about it, and I think Bam Morris is running the ball better than I thought they would run the football. I think they should have stuck with it a little bit longer.
All right, Jaws, appreciate your comments. Dan, let's send it back to you in the studio.
Get 2 quarterbacks talking about offense, they never shut up. When we return, we've got plenty more. We'll hear from Emmitt Smith. Didn't have a great day as far as yardage goes, just 49 yards rushing, but did have 2 touchdowns. We'll get his thoughts on yet another Super Bowl victory as Sterling and I return.
This one to the others.
You can't. All of them are very different between 3 of them. I mean, you do something different in every one of them. So, you know, all of them are in the suite in the end.
Was this special because after having been there, what appeared to be so easily?
I think the most special part about this is knowing the fact that our head coach is getting a ring, has won a Super Bowl. Ernie Zampese has won a Super Bowl, and a number of other guys on the squad has won their first Super Bowl. So that right there in itself makes it all sweet.
It was important to the players that Barry was vindicated.
I think it's very important for the players. You know, we took it upon ourselves to go out there and do the best that we can to help our coach win so he can pull the monkey off his back.
How about the momentum shift in the game, the way the Steelers battled back to make it so close? What was the feeling over there on the sideline?
I think, I mean, we was getting anxious to get back on the field as an offense to try to slow down the momentum change and do whatever we could to get this momentum back on our side. But the bottom line is, they did a great job of playing offense and defense. I mean, they drove the ball. They did whatever they had to do to position themselves to try to win the game. And Larry Brown came with some big plays for us. And
yeah, you must be happy for him, knowing what he went through personally this season.
Very happy for him. And, you know, nobody deserves it better than Larry Brown and Coach Swisher.
One other thought. In measuring great teams of all time and what the Cowboys have done in the last 4 years, where do you place this group?
I don't know. I ain't had the time to look at it and evaluate it yet. See you later.
Go out and have fun. All right, thank you very much, Emmitt Smith. Let's go back to you guys.
Thank you, Chris. Emmitt, a man on the run, 5 Super Bowl touchdowns in his career, the former MVP. Sterling, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, that it looked like the Steelers did their best to try to take him out of the game early by putting as many guys up on the line of scrimmage as they could.
And it worked against the Dallas Cowboys for getting the lead, because once they got the lead and the momentum was on Pittsburgh's side, what Pittsburgh did was they made Dallas throw the football. Dallas couldn't run the ball to try to run out the clock. When you're running 6- and 7-man run blitzes to take the ball out of Emmitt Smith's hands, you get 3 and out. Pittsburgh got the ball back.
But if you're Pittsburgh, you almost had to do that, didn't you?
You really did. And, I mean, you got to take your chances that Michael Irvin, is going to catch his share, and Jay Novacek had another outstanding day. You got to take your chances. And I'd rather, you know, if I was a defensive coordinator, I would rather have, you know, Michael Irvin and those guys beat me than to have Emmitt run up and down the field and control the clock.
All right. Well, we heard from one former MVP in Emmitt Smith. We'll hear from another one, Troy Aikman, when Sterling and I return as ESPN Super Bowl coverage continues from here in downtown Phoenix. We'll have the highlights of the Bulls against the Suns. Our Sunday conversation is with Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy, who, as a defensive coordinator with the Vikings, had to try to stop Troy Aikman earlier in the year. Pittsburgh Steelers found out in the first half they couldn't do so. Leslie Visser standing by with the former MVP. Leslie?
Man won his 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years. Troy, how satisfying is this, and how different is it from the others?
Well, you know, it's very satisfying. It's it is different than the other two. This football team overcame other things that the other teams didn't have to. It's almost a sense of relief around here. I know that the first one we had, everyone was jumping up and down, and And this one wasn't quite that way, but nonetheless, very, very relieved, very happy, and excited about the way this season went for us. And then we get a couple of weeks to enjoy it, and then we'll be right back at it again.
Is it ironic? I think you said earlier in the year that the turning point for this season might have been right here on this field.
It might have been. You know, we had not played well in the month of December. We came out here for the last game of the season, played exceptionally well, and gave this football team the momentum and the confidence that it desperately needed heading into the playoffs. And we've really played well over the last 4 games after the debacle in Philadelphia.
Michael Irvin called this home for you guys to come back to the Super Bowl. Did this feel that way?
I hadn't been here that many times to know if it feels like home, but it was nice to come back. I think that the guys, after making 2 in a row, knowing what it felt like not to play in last year's Super Bowl, it was nice and sweet to come back this year.
People are used to you and Emmett and Michael having great games. How satisfying is this for Larry Brown?
Well, I would have to believe extremely rewarding.
You're a former MVP. You know how that feels.
It's a great feeling, and I couldn't be happier for the guy. He's been under a lot of criticism over the years, and he's battled back. He's played well. Tonight he had 2 big plays that helped us win the ball game. Those were the difference in the game. So I'm very happy for him.
Well, you're only 29 years old. You got lots more time to get some more of these.
Yeah, lots more time.
Thank you, Troy.
Leslie, thank you. Troy did his damage really in the first half utilizing Jay Novacek, but he also found a guy who's been an unsung hero for this Dallas Cowboys when the momentum seemed to be turning.
Late in the 4th quarter, Dan, when it really got to be tight on the Dallas Cowboys, Kevin Williams once again came up with a huge play. And the one thing he does after he catches this football is he attacks Myron Bell, misses the tackle. That right there is, I think, is what helped seal the victory for the Dallas Cowboys. The receiver corps of the Dallas Cowboys did another outstanding job.
Now, being a former All-Pro, you're still an All-Pro
right,
in my book, but you were looking at the wide receivers, in particular the Steelers, and you were tough on them. You said that they may have cost the Steelers this game, and they almost won the Steelers this game.
They really did. And the one thing I liked about those guys was the fact that they came in the game, they were very relaxed. Yancey Thigpen, the leader of that group, once again had another very good day. And as you look at this play right here on the touchdown, I don't know if you can see this from this angle, but he did a great job. Deion was heavy inside, did a great job of squaring him up. He jumps inside of Larry Brown, does a great job of going down, getting the low football. And, I mean, you look at the times that he came up with big catches using his hands. Sometimes it just went off their helmets.
You got to be, I think, proud as a former receiver to look at these guys, and they're young and they're playing in a Super Bowl, and it didn't seem like they were bothered by it at all.
That's exactly right, and that's what you want. You want young guys to step up and play like men. Championship-type game, you need championship-type people. I think the receiving core, Andre Hastings, and Ernie Mills was having a great day before he got hurt. Once again, Yancey Thigpen didn't get the ball to slash as much as they probably needed to, but the other guys really stepped it up.
When we return, we'll hear from the guy who was guarding Yancey Thigpen. He had his own camera. Now he has his own network. He takes over ESPN. When Sterling and I return, Deion Sanders. We'll hear from him in a moment.
Don't let a new car payment be a financial burden. Call 1-800-32-SMART. About Smart Lease by GMAC. It just might give you something you wouldn't mind carrying around. Don't let a new truck payment stretch you to the limit. Call 1-800-32-SMART. About Smart Lease by GMAC. It keeps new vehicles well within reach.
Geez, I gotta get to a hardware store.
Building something?
Sink's leaking.
Sink's leaking. Talk to Bernie.
Bernie?
Bernie knows plumbing.
Where does Bernie go?
True Value.
True Value.
Official hardware store of the NFL.
Official?
Official.
True Value, the official hardware store of the NFL.
Yes, it's official.
Get this Contico 16-gallon Ultimate Tote for only $12.88 and the Stanley 25-foot neon tape rule for just $6.98.
Welcome back to Phoenix as our coverage of Super Bowl 30 continues. Say what you want about Deion Sanders. He's a winner. He's got the hardware to prove it. Following the victory in Super Bowl 30, he expressed his emotions on this victory.
Man, I'm just happy to win. I don't care what I did. I wanted to help my team win. I don't care about those MVPs, the self-gratification. I've had all that since I was 7 years old. I've been a bad boy. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? It is about the rings and about the team concept. We didn't care about who got the MVP, who did this and that. We just wanted to win the game. I mean, all week long they say we was in limos. Sure, we was in limos. We stars. How else is a star supposed to travel? Yeah, we was in limos. They saying we wasn't practicing hard. We were busting our butt out there. We didn't give a rebuttal. We did not give one rebuttal to all the crap they was talking about us. They say we're too this and that. We're Hollywood. I can't help it because we got some very marketable guys on our team. I can't help that we are charismatic. We have charisma. We have pizzazz. You know what? I'm thinking about telling Jerry to move the team to Hollywood. I mean, because that's what we should do.
Final thoughts?
He's right. I mean, we talk about it being a team game. There's no I in team, but we guys in the media still want it to be an individual type thing, and I think everything that Deion Sanders said is right. Hats off to the Dallas Cowboys. Very proud of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They did an outstanding job this year.
It's been fun. Are you going to be back here next year with us?
I'll be right here unless something happens to come up a little bit better.
I noticed you were talking to Jerry Jones quite a bit this year.
You're right.
We hope you'll see you in that uniform next year on ESPN. Coming up, SportsCenter, Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, Joe Theismann, Keith Olbermann. For Sterling, I'm Dan. Good night.
Now, on SportsCenter, was it the really Super Bowl or the road tour of Showboat? From the great game to the great plays, from the super to the super our team will smoke out all the stories from Super Bowl 30. Better knock that flame down. We'll have all the other yucks from Sunday in sports. Michael and the Bulls try to come back against Phoenix. Is Magic about to come back against the Bulls, no less? What sport exactly were USC and Cincinnati playing? Some sort of martial arts deal? Confused? Dazed? Well, we're ready to go.
Can we play?
Sure, if you stop by and say hello on the Super Bowl Sports Center. Next.
Hello and welcome from ESPN World Headquarters and the site of Super Bowl 30. It's the big show. I'm Keith Olbermann. Wait, you mean both teams are permitted to play well at the Super Bowl? Who knew? After the first decent one in 5 years, it wasn't just a brand name, it was an adjective. Let's turn it over to Chris Berman and our coverage team in Arizona. Chris?
All right, Keith, thank you very much. Yeah, I guess you got to have it on the fives is the way it works for the Super Bowl to have a competitive one. And really, all of us are here kind of scratching our heads because not only was it a close game, it could have gone the other way. With Joe Theismann, Tom Jackson, it's been the end of a long weekend. You know what? We got a good game out of the whole deal. And congratulations to the Cowboys and the Steelers for providing a good game. And they said that it would be one. Well, where do we begin? Tell you where we begin. 29 years of Super Bowl history going in, and of course, the last 11 have been all NFC. 11 for 11, and almost every one of them, except two, have been in the blowout capacity. That being said, as the Dallas Cowboys try to become the second franchise to win 5 Super Bowls ever, as did the Pittsburgh Steelers, which one would get there first? Would Dallas make it 12 in a row for the NFC? They're playing on an NFC field on the arid mesa of Sun Devil Stadium. Here we go, Cowboys and Steelers, and Deion Sanders and company singing along with the national anthem. Neil O'Donnell poised for his first Super Bowl start. Troy Aikman's been an MVP once before in the Super Bowl. Could he add another ring to the Dallas legacy? Pittsburgh looking to get their one for the thumb for the first one since the 70s. Emmitt Smith, shades of his first carry of the regular season. This time, Emmitt runs 23 yards on the opening drive of the game. Then Aikman, here's the hole, Tom. Look at it.
Yeah, Greg Lloyd early on in this game, handled by Larry Allen, just couldn't get his body up under him. Good position, but he didn't finish it off defensively.
Well, Lloyd upset us. It's a 3-0 lead on a Bonial field goal. Then next series, Aikman to Deion Sanders. Little underthrown coverage, pretty good by Willie Williams, but Deion makes the catch. Then on 3rd and 9, Jay Novacek, immense in the first quarter and a half and 5 catches. Here's one inside the 5. He just kept keeping drives alive for the first down. Next play, Aikman. He's wide open as Novacek. Touchdown, 10-0 Dallas, Joe.
Well, watch this. See, picks are legal in Dallas, but nowhere else. Kendall Watkins, the tight end, one of the tight ends coming from the left, knocks off Jerry Oslowski, and Novacek's wide open. I guess it's legal there, Boom.
Well, whatever it is, Bill Cowher knows his defense has been handled 2 straight drives. It's 10-0. 3rd and 8 for the Steelers. O'Donnell to Andre Hastings. He battled all day. And as a number 88 wearing his Steeler uniform should in a Super Bowl. But then, next play, Dermontti Dawson snaps it over O'Donnell's head. And it's a huge 2nd and 22 situation. Helps stall a drive. And 10-0 Dallas. Aikman to Michael Irvin. Beats Cardinal Lake for the score. But don't ring up 17-0 offensive interference on Irvin, and the call was close, actually. It wasn't that definitive. He looked worse in plays against the Packers. But the Steelers get new life because Emmett tried to move on past Levon Kirkland, comes up short. They get a field goal instead of a touchdown. It's 13-0. Then Pittsburgh moving. O'Donnell to Ernie Mills. And Joe, look at the catch.
Unbelievable. Watch him go up and extend himself all day long. He knows Scott Case is coming, still makes the play.
Ron Earhart looking to take advantage. 17 seconds to go. And for the 7th straight game, the Steelers have scored inside the last 30 seconds at the end of the half. Yancey, Thigpen in front of Dion, and it's 13-7, Tom.
Yeah, and Deion Sanders actually with pretty good position there. He planted himself inside, just couldn't get to the ball, and actually pushed Thigpen to the football.
Dallas had the better of the play in the first half, but Pittsburgh within 6, 13-7. Then Neil O'Donnell in the third quarter, picked up by Larry Brown. He could go all the way deep into territory, inside the 20, picks up a couple extra yards. Joe, what happened on the play?
What happens is you'll see both receivers run to the inside like they should on their blitz breakoff, but Neil O'Donnell just lets this one get high and wide, and of course we know Larry Brown goes the other way.
And Neil knows he made a mistake, and Dallas goes for the jugular. Aikman buying some time. Newton way out to give a good block outside the pocket. Down to the 2 to Irvin. It's a first down. Emmett, watch the first surge, the second, well, you can't see it from her. The third surge was actually stopped already, but it looked like that second surge. He got right to the goal line. Touchdown. It's 20-7. How about them Cowboys? Then, still up 20-7. Rod Woodson back in action, looking to play Michael Irvin. Hey, what a comeback. A miraculously medical comeback for Irvin, for Woodson, as he makes the play on Irvin. But it's 20-7. Pittsburgh down 13. He's got to make something happen. He didn't play the first 2 series. Pegram went nowhere, but Bam Morris had played a big role for Pittsburgh. Look at him. Bam, bam, up to the midfield stripe. A 12-yard run sets up a Norm Johnson 46-yard field goal to make it 20-10. Then watch Norm, the veteran, on the onside kick. Dallas forgets to cover it. Dion Figures not only covers it, but advances it 10 yards. Car. Here come the Steelers. The old special team play worked, Tom.
Yeah, the receiving team has to stay in place until the ball is actually kicked. You have to see it kick. The Dallas Cowboys didn't. Deion Figures recovers.
It was a great play by Johnson. It was like a soccer pass. Big block by John L. Williams on a touchdown. Bam Morris scores it 20-17. And look at it again, Tommy. Here's the block by John L. on Godfrey Miles.
Yeah, John L. outside, pins Miles to the inside, makes him an easy trot to the end zone for Bam Morris.
So Troy Aikman says, wait a minute here. I haven't even been on the field, and I've seen this team score 10 points. Under 5 minutes to play, they'll flush out of the pocket. Andre Hastings, he can't hold on despite the fact he caught 10 on the day. Then O'Donnell to the right. Is it the man again? Larry Brown. Had the big pick against Brett Favre 2 weeks ago. Had 2 big ones. Only John L. prevents a touchdown, but it's inside the 10. And after mistakes like that, you're not going to prevent touchdowns when you're that deep. And so Larry Brown with a 3rd and a 4th quarter pick, and then Emmitt Smith with the burst off right tackle for the 27-17 Dallas lead and eventual final. Troy Aikman 10-1 now as a starter in the postseason. For Emmitt Smith, certainly not a great day. 18 carries for 49 yards, but 2 touchdowns and another ring. Kevin Green, they let their hair down to the Steelers. Much of the better of the play in the second half. But if you talk about someone that's come back from personal adversity to have 3 of the biggest interceptions in the championship game of the Super Bowl you would want, it's Larry Brown. He's the MVP. Dallas has won Super Bowls with 3 different coaches. They now have 5 Super Bowl rings. The Cowboys beat the Steelers 27-17. Did I say 5 Super Bowl rings? There's only 1 player in over 1,600 that has played in all the Super Bowls that has 5 rings. That's Charles Haley. He's with our Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Like I was telling guys, if I didn't think they would tease me, I would break down and cry, man, because, this is a way to highlight my career.
It's the best one ever. It's the best one ever. Every year it gets better. Unfortunately, we couldn't make it here last year, but as Mike said, this is like our home. And this is home. Home is where the heart is, baby.
Hey, let me tell you something, man. I said it before the clock ran down. This story hadn't completed yet. This is not the last chapter. We still got some chapters to write. As long as I got guys like Emmett and Troy, a coach like Barry, an owner like Jerry that's willing to go out when I say, Jerry, go get a player. We need this player. He usually go out and get him. This chapter isn't over.
As I told him at the half, we played 23 and a half ball games. We had 30 minutes more to play and a lifetime to remember it. And now I do have that, a lifetime to remember that there are 29 that didn't make it, and there's one that stands alone, and that's the winner, and that's the Dallas Cowboys.
This was probably the best Super Bowl victory for us, being though all the adversity we went through this year as a team, and some as individuals. You know, this is a win. This is a special one right here.
It was important to the players that Barry was vindicated.
I think it's very important for the players. You know, we took it upon ourselves to go out there and do the best that we can to help our coach win so he can pull the monkey off his back.
It is a definite monkey off their back, but let's just show you some tail of the tape because it's going to go into what we're about to say. The Steelers outgained the Cowboys 310 to 254, only the second time in 30 Super Bowls that the losing team has outgained the winner. Now, look at the final 2.5 quarters. Those 268 yards, rather all of Dallas's yards except 70 came on their first 3 drives of the game. They had 70 yards for 2.5 quarters, whereas Pittsburgh from mid-second quarter on had 268. So there is no question where this game was headed except for the final score. Now, you know, it took us a while to even figure it out ourselves, Tommy and Joe, because the ebb and flow of this game and the result of who was ebbing and flowing were different. Dallas in the first half, you figure, well, now why weren't they up by more than the 6 points? Then in the second half, you figure, well, why didn't Pittsburgh catch up more ground? It was kind of weird to figure when you look at those numbers.
Well, Chris, those stats that you just alluded to tell quite a story. I think we started the morning talking about the first 10 minutes of the Super Bowl, how critical it would be and how experience would play a role. First 10 minutes today, Dallas 122 yards and 10 points. Pittsburgh Steelers had only 1 possession. They had 9 yards. Point being, they fell behind by 10. They made a good run at the end, but you can equate it almost to a basketball game. You make your runs, you make a couple of mistakes. They were behind by 10. They lost by 10, Joe.
I think, Tommy, you bring up a great point. Once they got down early, what it does is it shifts the pressure onto Pittsburgh's offense. Even though Dallas's offense isn't doing much, they're not hurting anybody. They're not turning the football over. So consequently, Pittsburgh has to go out and try and play flawless football, which they were not able to do. Winds up with 3 interceptions on the day for Neil O'Donnell, and boom, that's the difference.
Neil O'Donnell watched on the sidelines, Joe, as right away they get 3, and then they got 7, and then almost got 7, but ended up it was 13-0. Analyze his play. We talked about it. You visited with him this week.
Yep.
Did it take him a while? He didn't look nervous.
No.
He didn't look nervous.
Boom, let me tell you something. You never look nervous out there because in the exterior, you look like a football player. You got your beard, you got your helmet, you got your shoulder pads. But inside, you don't have little butterflies flying around. You've got F-16s running around there, just missing one another like a sky show. It's unbelievable. He was so nervous. Look at these throws early in the game. And we've all gone through this. Over Pegram's head. Now he drops back. He wants to get the ball down the field so quickly. He throws it a little bit behind the receiver. And I think that's the biggest problem that Neil had. He didn't settle down, Tommy, till probably somewhere in the middle of the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, and I think sometimes he got help from his wide receivers, but sometimes it wasn't there. There wasn't consistent catching by these wide receivers on a consistent basis. We take a look at an example in the 4th quarter. Here, you get on a 1st and 10. Neil O'Donnell scrambles out, makes a nice throw. Hastings drops the ball. Now you come back to the 2nd down. Dallas with the blitz package, the ill-timed throw right there. Larry Brown with the pick down to the 6-yard line. So I think certainly he got some great catches from his wide receivers, Boom, but he didn't get them all the time when he needed them.
We should say Hastings, 10 for 98. Yeah. Mills before he got hurt, 8 for 78. But talk about consistent catching.
That's right.
When they needed it the most. What about Novacek for the first quarter and a half? And he was another guy that we featured on our game day this morning. Novacek, yes, he catches the pass. Not only does he find a way to get open, not only does he provide a reliable target and make tough catches look easy, but he also provides a rhythm for Troy Aikman early in the game. Now, and I know you're going to talk about it later, Dick LeBeau and the Pittsburgh defense, Jay caught no balls after those first 3 drives, but the damage was done. You're not going to dominate a team in every area in the Super Bowl for 60 minutes, but in the Novacek area, Pittsburgh couldn't figure out how to cover him for a half. That's a big reason they lost the game. We've got plenty more, of course, coming up here as the Super Bowl edition rolls on from the Arizona Center. Keith will have a lot more. We have Sunday Conversation. We got Plays of the Week. We got everything in sports. There was some other things other than the Super Bowl. SportsCenter rolls on from Phoenix and Bristol and beyond.
That'll be $6.
Harry.
Yeah?
How come you're charging me for the hot dogs?
The 52-inch Magnavox big screen TV with smart screen and a picture so good you can charge for the hot dogs. Smart. Very smart. See your Magnavox dealer now for a special financing program.
Morning watch is on.
Looks like we're gonna get wet.
It is a phenomenon of nature.
All hell, keep out of the rigging!
A subject of legend. What happened to my ship was not imagined. And a force of pure destruction. Jeff Bridges in a Ridley Scott film. White Squall, rated PG-13. Starts Friday, February 2nd.
Introducing the Boston Carvers, the hot hand-carved sandwich from Boston Market. Hearth honey ham, or double-sauced meatloaf Boston Carvers. Our famous chicken, or rotisserie roasted turkey breast. Stacked high on a French or honey wheat roll. New Boston Carver sandwiches from Boston Market. Carving out a better sandwich.
SportsCenter Super Bowl Special Edition is brought to you by Hollywood Pictures' White Squall, coming to theaters February 2nd. And by Boston Market, carving out a better sandwich.
Welcome back to SportsCenter, Arizona Center style, as we continue from both Phoenix, the site of Super Bowl 30, and Bristol and points beyond. The Dallas Cowboys, congratulations to them. 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, and we'll have a bigger comment about that because that's only been exceeded once. That's by the Steelers, 4 and 6 years in the 70s. So now Barry Switzer has succeeded a man who won 2 Super Bowls in Jimmy Johnson, who succeeded a man who won 2 Super Bowls in Tom Landry. So the chain of succession has worked, argue about it or not. Let's go back to what the Steelers did. Is Bill Cowher tried to succeed Chuck Knowles 4 Super Bowls, and he will get his shot because this Steeler team, make no mistake about it, was good enough to win it and could have. But some of we talked about Neil O'Donnell, Joe, Tommy, the defense seemed uneasy, too, to start.
Well, I think it's a reoccurring theme. Again, we're talking about those first 10 minutes of that football game. The emotional catalyst for the Steelers' defense is Greg Lloyd, and he got off to a shaky start today. We take a look at Greg Lloyd here early on. He was very rubber-legged. You could see it almost at introduction at the toss of the coin. There, he lets Nate Newton get into his body. He never gets his legs up under him, never pins Nate Newton the way you have to stop the run game. I'd venture to say the next time we see Greg Lloyd in a Super Bowl, and we will, I think he'll be a different ball player.
Well, Tommy, you're talking about defense, and I think you really have to give a nod to Dave Campo. Even though Pittsburgh moved the ball, they only managed 17 points, and he threw a lot of what we call zone blitzes at Neil O'Donnell. He made him throw the ball hot. He made him put the ball into areas where people were there to really take him out. For example, Scott Case here. O'Donnell sets, he fires, Scott Case, bam, gone, head off. Mills, good recovery by Bruner. Now, that was what you saw all day by the Dallas Cowboys. They just managed to be in the right spot at the right time. But on the other side of the ball, Dick LeBeau, the defensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers, what a great job. You hold Michael Irvin under 100 yards, 70-some-odd yards catching the football. Evan Smith, under 50 yards, only 49 running with it. Novacek early and then disappears. I mean, that was an unbelievable defensive effort by Dick LeBeau. They just came up short, Boom.
If you look, and we showed those numbers in the last 2.5 quarters that the Cowboys had, only 70 yards, and the Steelers had all the yards. Second half, time of possession, Pittsburgh 21 minutes, Dallas 9. But 2 huge mistakes and an interception in the last play of the game, which really doesn't count except for the stats. But Larry Brown, MVP with a pick in the 3rd quarter, pick in the 4th quarter. He's with our Chris Mortensen. Mort?
I'm here with Super Bowl MVP Larry Brown. Larry, did you ever dream it would be this good?
No, I never dreamed it'd be this good. I just wanted to go out today and play a solid game. I knew they were going to stay away from Deion, and I knew the key would be me. I had to make some plays for this team, and I was very fortunate to do that today.
Take us through the first interception.
The first interception, I think O'Donnell, the receiver, had a miscommunication. He threw the ball behind him. I went and got it. I intercepted it, threw it right to me. The second one, they had been throwing quick slants on me all day, so I said, we were in a blitz. I said, I'm going to go get it. And I jumped the route, and I beat the receiver there, and it came right to me, and I tried to take it in.
But you didn't take it in. What happened?
I tried, man. They got some speed on the other side, and for us, we were tired. We've been out there a lot the second half, and, I got it down to about the 4 or 5 yard line, and the offense took it in from there.
When they flashed MVP on the board, what did you think?
You know what? It never crossed my mind. I wasn't even thinking about MVP. I was so into the game, just letting that clock tick down and showing that the Cowboys won. I wasn't thinking about it. So when they flashed, I was excited. My teammates were excited for me, and we're very happy.
Tough year personally, but a nice way to...
Nice way to end it. It was a hard year personally and for this team, but a way to end it.
And do you even think about free agency right now, or you enjoy this?
No. I'm going to enjoy this win tonight. I got a third ring on my finger. That's all I'm thinking about.
All right, let's go back to the studio.
All right, more way to go. And Larry Brown, the interceptions, the tackles, and you add to that the interception off of Favre 2 weeks ago in the championship game. And Larry Brown, you can wear that ring. You can polish it up even a little more. Boy, there was a good thing they had 12 rounds of the draft back in '91. He was a 12th round pick of the Cowboys. Larry Brown, an important pick, certainly, as Dallas gets their third in 4 years. Let's go back to Keith.
All right, Chris, coming up, Michael and the Bulls try to take a step closer to wiping the Lakers from the history pages, while a page from Laker history is apparently coming back to the dusty annals. Also, the college hoops awaits us on SportsCenter. Vive la France! The Jayhawks try to get Roy